Hey guys, this is Monfrey from L-World, and you are watching FOE Advance, where we look to improve your strategies and gameplay with me talking sometimes a long time and sometimes not as long. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I'm also in Ephesus, and this is currently, I'm recording my Ephesus world because that's sort of my current infatuation. And today I wanted to talk about two things. I want to chat a little bit about my video that I just recently posted about great building management, deletions, Trinity, that kind of thing. A bit of a disclaimer, so listen for that next. And then I also want to talk about my favorite QI building. And if you've watched any of my videos, like I was initially very slow to adopt QI. It honestly was really confusing to me, and just, at some level of burnout, I just wasn't sure if I was ready for something else. But over time, I've kind of softened to that. So I'll get into that, and especially about this particular reward you can achieve from participating in QI. And this is the most underrated, unknown building, it seems, as I talk to other players that are either not wanting to play QI, or they do and they don't really understand the benefit of some of these options. And there is an interesting little gotcha about these QI buildings that I think a lot of people actually haven't noticed. But anyway, I'll get into that shortly. So regarding the great building strategy, should I delete, should I not build, Trinity, etc., I want to do a quick summary overview of what I was talking about yesterday. So uh, mainly what I'm trying to get across, in light of the fact that, let's keep in mind, don't go crazy deleting great buildings that would be horrifically expensive, both in time and forge points to rebuild. Okay, the idea that I'm wanting to get across is that there are a number of great buildings that you should think about critically when building them and putting them in your city, or if you have low-level versions of low-cost great buildings, such as the Trinity buildings, or others that are like, well, I got it to level 10, I let it sit there, and then I built 14, literally, other great buildings, and they're all at level 5, 6, 8, 10, taking up a ton of opportunity space in your city. That's what I probably could have said more plainly in yesterday's video. The idea is I'm trying to teach you how to fish in terms of like looking at some great buildings as either valuable to your gameplay strategy or not. And if you're going to let a giant building sit there at level 10, 11, 6, whatever, that maybe there's some much more powerful buildings you could put in that place until maybe you find more value in that great building. So that would warrant a deletion in that case. Depending on your level of gameplay, like where you're at in the game, what era you're in, things like that. Am I going to delete or tell somebody they should delete a level 180 arc or level 100 arc or any level arc? No. There's certain buildings that are just sacred in this game, and up to this point, and I think into the future, the arc will be that. And as you can see, I feel the same way about the BG, the Seed Vault. I deleted my Virgo in the last video because, it's kind of a joke building, and it was built sort of as a joke, so I deleted it in the video for that purpose. But moving forward, I just wanted to highlight, because I did get some comments about the fact that Inno has announced that they are going to be, modding, if you will, some of the great buildings in Q3 or Q4. Now, I have been in this game so long that I have seen past announcements of various kinds, not specifically this one, but I've seen other ones that we have sort of that have sort of come out, and then there's been a shift, and that's up to them. They're the game devs, but I've sort of taken a more sanguine, viewpoint of holding my breath and modifying my gameplay, waiting on what everyone else is going to do, right? Even if they've released some announcements. So understand that that's the perspective I'm coming from. So yeah, I'm a little bit shaded. If you have a great building that you're really on the bubble about, and you're like, I kind of feel like this is solid, and there has been this announcement, and maybe you hold on to it, right? I'm not here to tell you like delete or do anything in your city. I'm mainly just trying to encourage you to look at things from a different perspective, right? So that's all this is just a fellow player encouraging you to say why. Like, why is this, why am I doing this, why am I letting this thing sit here, why am I leveling this thing? is it really, really core? Is it creating a huge opportunity cost for me to put down something else in exchange? You know, one quick example is these Neo buildings, right? You can look at any of these Neo buildings, and they've got incredible stats on them, right? I mean, they just have some really, really cool stuff going on. And if you're, say, letting a majestic Winter Wonderland pyramid, I just happen to have the space right now, but I store these all the time, right? Because these used to be cool, but they're not as cool. But I like the variety of stats. I like the fact that you get population. So again, it's just a decision you make based on, you know, whatever's going on in your city, right? So I'm going to post the a summary, kind of like a summation, because I can't put too much in the description area of my YouTube videos, but I'm going to do like a grok summary of what Inno has announced, so that you guys can, you know, sort of see that for yourselves. You can go and try to find the Q3, Q4 game update announcements that they've made, and sort of decide for yourself what you want to do. So again, I don't want to be seen as just like, hey, these, you know, Trinity's garbage, you know, don't do it. But again, really think why you're doing what you're doing before you build it. Or, you know, and if you're listening to this and you haven't built some of those buildings, maybe hold off until we see if what mods take place, and what they're good at, or like what they're for, right? And how they're gonna benefit. So I think we have some hints, but I'm not really in the business of, you know, speculating on all that stuff. So my videos are made majority in terms of like the way I've experienced the game, sort of the patterns, and of course like living in the now. And I think by living in the now instead of like yesterday, which was like, well, I built this, I really, you know, I spent so much FP on my TOR. Well, did you really? And what's it in the way of, right? And what's it doing for you lately? So anyway, that's a summation of yesterday's video. And thanks to some of you who messaged me saying the one I put up before yesterday's video, like the day before, that was garbled and bad. So there was some issue with the upload or something. So I'm on the road right now, so perhaps the upload got garbled. But hopefully the other one I put up is good. It seems to be. And okay, let's move on to the Neo Aviary. So the Neo Aviary is by far my favorite QI reward building. You can see I have a number of them here. I had, before these came out in the 2025 Neo Selection Kit, I had put up a number of these other options. Obviously the Neo Checkmate Squares, or the Neo CMSs. We used to refer to the original Checkmate Squares as CMSs. They were hot for a while and then they sucked. And now we have the Neo. So these are good. I mean, they're solid, right? They give you some, you know, they give you it's a production building, which is like super cool. So I will say, as a close second to the Aviary, these are completely different kind of deals. But I love the fact that this is a production building, and if it's a level 2, this is sort of a warm up for the Aviary, that it does not need a road. Okay, so a majority, if not all, of the Neo, I didn't look this one up before, the level 2 Neo versions of buildings, I don't think any of them need roads. The level 1s always need roads. Correct me on that, somebody, if I'm wrong. And then the other thing, also correct me if I'm wrong, but I've triple checked this, is that, and this is strange to me, that none of the Neo awards that you get from playing, you know, QI give you stats that buff your QI. So you don't get battle stats based on the QI Neo buildings, right? Now you do have buffs on some of the others, the like the pup, you know, sleigh builders, and not sleigh builders, the like, just examples, the puppy hauler, right? So when you get into the epic ascended stuff, that's going to buff your QI battles, and, you know, productions and units and goods and things like that before you go into QI. But these buildings have to be built before QI starts. Yeah, so that's a whole different video that gets QI strategy. And I'm just trying to entice those of you that are either playing QI or on the bubble to really look at it. Okay, so let's get into the details of the Neo Aviary. So what I wanted you to see is that, for one, this building as a level 2, it needs no road. As a level 1, it needs a road. And the buffs you see here are, in this case, based on level 2. So I'm getting next era goods. I'm currently in Sam, but notice that these units that it's offering me are from the next era. So I'm getting a healthy amount of next era fighting units, battle units. Plus I'm getting FP. Plus I'm getting some pretty cool GBG stats and GE stats, as you can see at the bottom. The level 1 version of these. So when I was putting these up, and I was having to choose from my selection kit, when I was sparse on collection kits when I first started QI, one of the things I did is I put up multiples of level 1s of these, because multiple level 1s actually perform better than a single level 2. And that's, you probably noticed if you've been at this game, well, that's always the case, right? However, you get the benefit of not needing a road. But I was like, I'll be a little bit road sloppy and put up more level 1s, in a pack, and then eventually get them to level 2. So that's sort of how I ended up with this situation. So I've since, redesigned my city, and all these Neo aviaries are without roads. So anyway, that's what I like about the Neo aviaries. It's a very rounded award building from playing QI, and honestly, it has a ton of value in my opinion, because it just, say that you have one of these in VF, right? And then it's been making SAM units. Then you go to SAM, right? You can either leave these in VF and they'll continue to make SAM units for you, which is really powerful when you first go into SAM. But if you then upgrade the building to SAM, it's going to start giving you Saab units. It's going to give you the next era. So I mean, that's a pretty cool flex, in my opinion. That's a super flexible, usable building, and that's why I wanted to highlight this one, because I've been talking to some other players, and they're like, "Oh, I just sort of learned about the aviary, and somebody said something about it, so I wanted to say a little more about it." So anyway, that's what's going on. So that's what I wanted to go with today. Shorter video than usual. I'm traveling, and so just wanted to throw this up there. I know somehow I've posted 3 videos in the last 4 or 5 days, which don't get used to it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get used to it, and it'll be instead of 6 months for my next video, it'll go with this faster pattern. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and subscribe, tell your friends, join my guild in Ephesus while there's still room if you want, and we'll help each other out, and we'll talk soon. All right, take care, guys.